Start with the nativity display. What did you guys decide on that?
The nativity scene, we were had a little bit of a misunderstanding coming into our meeting, and we thought that what was being requested was a live nativity scene that would be attended and with actors and possibly farm animals. So we were fretting over what are we going to do about farm animals and all that stuff. And the rules are that you have to take such things down at night. You can't just leave them set up. So we thought that's what was going to be requested, but the gentlemen that were here said that they wanted to set up a static display that would not be attended and would be on the stage of the 400 block during the holidays for, I believe they said, up to 6 weeks. And that just doesn't fall into, we have required that things that are in the 400 block are events, with activities and, something of interest, interaction, stuff like that. And this is not an event. And so we just clarified that a static display is not an event and therefore cannot be allowed under the current rules for the 400 block.
So one of the questions that was kind of brought up with this was, will this just be from private people? Because I know that the city sets up a Christmas tree. Is that considered a static display?
I think there was a differentiation that Mr. Neal made that was rather good, that it was, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but the tree itself, a tree would not be a static display, and it would be something that the city was placing there, so that's different than something that somebody was asking the city for permission to place there. And so apparently there are different rules. So it would be a city placed tree, could be described as a static display, but it wouldn't be something that a private group was seeking permission to put there. So coming at it from different angles.
And sort of what about the concerns with kind of the religious aspect of it being from the city granting? What sort of were the concerns of maybe board members and the public on that?
I think you do have to keep in mind the matter of the establishment of religion and all that stuff, but we weren't faced with that today. We were faced with, can we have a static display? No, you can't. And according to the city attorney, we can't discriminate on the basis of content. So we're not going to, if somebody does come in and they want to have an event of a religious nature, we don't have any intention to try to stop that.
Can you touch on, there was quite a bit of conversation about like dioxins again. Can you touch on that a little bit? What was discussed? And
part of that had to do with how far the Park and Recreation Committee's purview goes. And my motivation on this contamination issue has always been, we're the Park and Rec Committee, we should worry about the park. And we have other committees that worry about all the rest of it, but we should be concerned about the park. And so before, I think it was May, the state toxicologists came to the city. Well, they came earlier, but they actually addressed the Capital Improvement and Street Maintenance Committee in May. Before that happened, I was a strong proponent of additional testing in Riverside Park. And I had kind of concluded that we should have tests in 6 areas of the culvert, immediately below the culvert and on the flat toward the river. And I was working toward that, and we had complications as far as getting some information from the DNR and all that. And so while all that was happening, I attempted to get somebody with the expertise to explain the potential danger that was present in the park and in the neighborhood. You know, who can, you know, what private entity or agency, or not private, but separate from the city, because the city is not trusted by a lot of the people who are involved in the opposition to the Thomas Street work. So it had to be somebody from another agency that wasn't under our thumb. And so I went to the DNR's hydrogeologist, I guess he is, and I said, Matt, can you come and talk to our committee about the potential danger of that park, and, you know, whether citizens should be alarmed or not, because we need to have that discussion. And he said, well, I'm not the best guy, you know. He said, should be somebody from public health. And so I asked the county public health department, and they said, well, you know, you should really get somebody from the state. And I thought, they're never coming. I'm never going to get that. But write the email, and they were amenable to coming up. They looked at the soil test results. I'm not sure right now off the top of my head how long ago those were, but the soil test results for the culvert area that people have focused on, and they also looked at the tests that the city had done at citizen request up on the flatter part in the area where the street work is going to be happening. And so they looked at both of those, and we were able to get both. I don't know how many state toxicologists there are, but I thought we'd get one. We had two here, and we talked at a capital improvement and street maintenance committee meeting for, I think it was around at least an hour, with them doing their presentation and lots of questions. And after that presentation, they explained that a child and an adult could go to the area of the outflow of the culvert. I believe it was 3 days a week, every day, every week for, and I think they went like 30 weeks, so it would be the entire summer with some spring and fall on the ends. And the kid could actually, the child involved in this theoretical picture, that kid could actually be ingesting, eating dirt. And they have somebody's done some experiments and found out how much dirt a kid will eat if it plays in the, you know, I don't know if it's grams per hour or how it's expressed. But they had all that expertise, and so they were able to tell us that, and I can't remember exactly what the component was that they were talking about. I think it was dioxin was the one that they were really keying on. It would get up to a level of 0.7 would be, and that would where they would become concerned about it. And this theoretical park user for the entire summer would only get up to 0.4. And so I thought, okay, we don't need further testing. We don't need signs. We can rest easy. And so I'm there. Now you saw that the committee is not there. And the committee is interested in perhaps having more tests done. I think the value of that is to assure the public that we're doing all we can to make sure that this is safe and is being done in a conscientious manner, and just give a little bit more assurance of safety, because I don't know how the contaminants, where they would accumulate, or I don't know that. So it might be, I'm not sure how the next committee is going to view it, but it might be a good idea to test down in that area of the outflow from that culvert and see if it's accumulated down there. I believe what has happened over the years is that there was probably a more significant amount of contaminant flowing out of there, and now it's gotten weaker and weaker and weaker, and you can only dip the tea bag so many times. And I believe that the area that was tested and analyzed by the state toxicologists, I think that's going to be the worst spot, and I think, but further testing will show whether that's correct. I would like also to, there was a concern back in May about the safety of river users. Not necessarily people who are consuming the fish, but maybe people who were swimming in the river. And based on where the contaminant would be entering the river and where people swim on the base of Fern Island, I don't think there's any chance that any of that goop is going to get over here, because it would have to go upstream and across the river, and I don't think that happens. But I am also, I'm working separately to try to get the river water tested so that we can assure that, you know, that's clean and safe too. And the DNR at this point won't do it because they say there's no scientific basis telling them that there's a problem based on past stuff, and they can't. DNR is not interested in testing river water to make the ordinary citizen feel more safe, because they feel perfectly safe. They look at the results they have, and their engineering expertise and all that tells them this is fine. But the layman who lives on Thomas Street, not so much. So I would like to see some additional testing done there. Haven't been able to get the city, the state, or the county, or UWSP to do it, but I'm still trying.
The pool, the summer openings that you said that you guys proposed something, but then that was ultimately changed by somebody else?
We proposed, and I may not get the exact details, but we proposed, I missed the meeting where the specific proposal was formulated, but the proposal was to stick with the expanded free days that were experimented with this summer, except start it at the beginning of the year and start at least a rotation that they're going to be someplace free to swim every Sunday, and it would bounce around, but there would be a published schedule. At the beginning of the season, you'd know where to go. Part of the problem, according to what we're hearing, is that a lot of people knew about the first free swim day. I think we had five free Sundays. Everybody knew about the first one, but it wasn't in the schedules at the beginning of the year. It wasn't distributed with swim lesson material and all that stuff, so people lost track. And there was some effort, like in my neighborhood, that when it came to Memorial Pool, that noised it around, but I don't know how much effort was made there. So the idea was that we could allow more people to swim for free and more families to enjoy the pool. One of the things I really like is the idea of families swimming together instead of mom and dad dropping Johnny and June off to go swimming and say have a nice time, kids. It's free. Mom and dad can go, and the children can see the adults having fun, and can play and have I think great memories can result from something like that. But the finance committee, it had to go to finance because it has financial implications. The finance committee felt that there shouldn't be free Sundays unless they were sponsored, free swimming, free admission Sundays. And so we're back to at least one free day at the beginning of the season, one free day at the end of the season, and free Wednesdays. So we're kind of going back to the way it was in the past. And then the finance committee would encourage the Park and Rec department and the mayor's office to work together to try to get more sponsors. We had one sponsor this past summer. So we need to figure out what a sponsorship would cost, and then solicit sponsorships of local institutions and companies to maybe provide some of those free days. And so both of those proposals are going to go to the city council next week, and they will duke it out.
And then you created or approved a subcommittee for the dog park project that's kind of been in the works here for a while now. So what exactly will that subcommittee be doing in regards to the park project?
Subcommittee, there was a small subcommittee in the past, and it was informal. Alderman Neal was the council's contact person for that, and they didn't have a lot of time, and they spent some of that time working on the design with a Park and Rec staffer. What would this thing look like, and some on the actual site. But we're good on the design now, and we're good on the site. We have it's on the corner of 4th and Plummer, down behind the post office. We've identified as our prime site. So the key now is going to be to try to get additional donations that will cover part of the cost, so that the city can include that in their budget. And at this point, I don't know if we can. I know we can't do it for 2019, and I'm hoping that we can do it for 2020. But it's been a goal of this committee now for 2 years. Things move slowly.
It's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah. So the key is, do we, is it possible for private money to pay for all of it? I don't think so. So we're going to, try to get as much as we can and see how it goes.